What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. The only game I'll play with you is slap the point-shaving white boy till he cries like a baby back bitch.
Baby back bitch, baby back bitch, baby back bitch.
Man, we have got the gift that keeps on giving for the NFL offseason. Brendan Sorsby is back in the news. We got World Cup. We got a huge trade in the NBA. Jimmy Haslam doesn't care how good you are. He'll fucking trade you in multiple sports. But my man, Evo, welcome in. Yes, if you are not aware, Jimmy Haslam is also the owner of the Bucks. So he just traded Giannis.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Tyler Hero.
Obviously, Tyler Hero's just they're going to love Tyler Hero up in Milwaukee. He's going to fit in,
there, right?
No problem.
I'm pretty sure he's a Scotty. So
that would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
a lot of whites up there.
How you doing? There are a lot of the whites. A lot of the whites. Speaking of one of my favorite whites, Evo, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Had a nice long weekend. Got to get on the lake, get burnt a little bit more on some paddle boarding. That was a great time. I also have ventured into a new layer of adult white maledom, I believe.
Okay.
You have like your New Balance shoes with ankle high socks and mowing lawn type of enjoyment thing, smoking meats. And I got into jerky in the past week, making my own jerkies. So I'm fitting in every stereotype possible, I believe. This one was for a good cause in my head, though, because next Friday, boys will be back in town for the summer. They said they wanted to make jerky, so we're going to make that happen. And before we make jerky as a family, I have to make sure I can do it myself. 6 pounds of jerky has been made and devoured by everyone at work, so apparently it's going well.
So listen, as somebody who is formerly part of the beef jerky, like making their own beef jerky gang, and not even technically me, producer Amber was really clutch in the making their own jerky thing. Awesome fucking thing to get into because you can do so many different things. It's the greatest snack. I don't know what you're using for the meat at this point. But listen, you can get the stir fry meat that's already cut into little strips. You can basically do anything you want. The world's your oyster when we're making beef jerky.
So, and we will completely branch off into non-sports related topics here already.
Exactly. What's up, cool 1, 2, 3, 4?
How's it going? For the birthday, mother-in-law got me a jerky cannon. Ooh. Are you familiar?
I am not.
I initially was turned off by the idea because it's ground meat that you put into what looks essentially like a caulking gun. And you have different piping attachments at the end to create the jerky. I was like, ground beef isn't jerky. It isn't jerky material. I stand corrected completely because I looked a little bit into it, joined a jerky junkie Facebook group, and there was very not heated arguments, but there was like a lot of people on there being like, do not knock it until you try it, and lots of recipes. And I was like, all right, what's a couple pounds of ground beef with some seasoning and cure? And so made both like strips of jerky and snack sticks. Both of them fantastic. Like I had people being like, how'd you do this? This is like store made type stuff. And I was like, it's the jerky cannon. Like
jerky cannon.
And I've got a meat grinder. so I can grind up whatever I want to make the correct mixtures and stuff. And it turned out fantastic. So I am going to be doing actual muscle meat here shortly. Slicing up some pork loin and some top round and things like that, to make sure I can test out that. But the ground sector is actually good. Don't knock it till you try it. I was knocking it, and I stand corrected. It is well worth it. Jerky Cannon, not a sponsor, but if you want to be.
Yeah, listen, Jerky Cannon, I'm in. I gotta try this ground jerky now.
This sounds like exactly the type of thing that Raw Dog could get behind. Is the Jerky Cannon.
Jerky Cannon should definitely be a fucking sponsor of Raw Dog Sports. What's
my nickname in high school?
Those two things just go together. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. All right. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, how have you been, man? How's it been going your neck of the woods? How is coaching going? How is
good.
Everything out there? The weather, because it's sweltering hot here. We are hitting that low 100 temperatures this week, and it sucks balls.
I've been doing well, man. Coaching has been going great. This is like my third week. I got another install sheet from our head O-line coach. I got to read through still, but things have been awesome, man. They had a 7-on-7 today. I was not there for that. It was with the lineman doing a lift. But man, it's a really cool experience so far. Like, I haven't even really got into it yet. I'm still getting used to the guys, kind of, getting my feet wet, because you can't hop straight into any kind of coaching situation and just start like, all right, do this. You have to build some trust. You have to build a little bit of a rapport. I have to kind of prove myself. And this is something that we know as instructors, like standing up in front of a classroom. You have to be confident. You have to know exactly what you're talking about, and you have to project all of that. It's easier to do all of those things when there's a little bit of a relationship there as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, getting to know everybody, getting to know these guys, and making sure I'm learning all the terminology. Because I got to make sure that I'm not calling pizzas when it's an alpha, even though it's both a fucking double team block. So I got to, getting all my terminology right is where I'm at right now as well.
Yeah, it does parlay into so much of our previous life experiences. One, military, your supervisors, you have to have trust and faith in the NCOs ahead of you, as well as when you're in a leadership position. Just because you have authority doesn't mean that people respect that authority unless you're coming at them with actual knowledge, or you have something to kind of base it off of. If you had been going into coaching and you had played the game before as like it at a top level, you immediately have credibility. Right. If you have been a coach there before, or a coach somewhere else and transferred over with some sort of accolades, you immediately come with some sort of credibility. You're going in raw, and you're having to teach these guys, how to do the game and earn their trust at the same time. It's only going to get easier though, because as you go in year out, you're going to have some players that remember you from the year before that'll, have the confidence, trust, and faith in you, and those new guys will be brought along in that way too. So it's going to probably be very unique, especially for this first year, and then it's only going to get better.
Yeah, it'll be fun to kind of document as we go through the season. It's going to be a wild ride. We got a tough schedule. I'm excited to see how it goes, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, very rewarding so far. We got, I'm not sure, probably like 8 to 12. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but thanks for hopping in here, the Hidden QB. Appreciate you. My man, should we start diving into some of the sports world? Because listen, we got a couple of things to get into before we probably spend some time on Sorsby, as we have for the last few weeks, because it just keeps on coming every damn week. And it seems like Tuesday is the day when all of the news hits. And that's when we go live. Like, it happens right before we go live. Oh gosh. We're going to have those, the prediction show a little later on. I don't think it's going to be a winning record. I'll give you that.
I think 7-10 is what I feel comfortable with right now. And that's not coming from a Browns fan. I know most outside entities look at the Browns like they're a complete joke. I'm just looking purely at the roster, and if you're able to get decent quarterback play, it'll work out.
Yeah.
But that's still a scary proposition with this quarterback class. You kind of almost want to tank a little bit, but it's a fine line that you got to walk there. Fine line.
Yeah, very, very fine line. It's the quarterback situation in Cleveland is very contentious. It's obviously could have gotten a lot more contentious with Sorsby, but that's not a factor anymore. So that's great. Now let's talk about something that did get a little contentious. Our mentions over on fucking Instagram, because we talked about soccer. And by the way, people on Instagram do not think the Americans who know dick about soccer are very funny. They were unhappy with us. Obviously, Paraguay, not that great. Australia, not that great. And in Turkey, pretty sure not that great at soccer either. We should easily get through and, make it to the next round. I don't think either one of us has delusions that we're actually winning this bitch, but our comments over on Instagram, we don't know shit. Also, somebody challenged us to just come play a couple minutes of Aussie Rules football because we're old and fat now. So, dude, wild scenes over on the Instagram.
Completely broken. I would love to try to be able to play any sort of a physical contact sport.
100%.
The body just, I've been to war too long. My back is broken. I have surgically repaired knee. I can't do this stuff anymore as much as I would love to. Look, it's obvious that we're going to be getting a ton of hate for our comments on soccer.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
We know that. We know it going into it, and that's perfectly fine. And the point isn't that we know anything about soccer.
Nope.
It's that we're very patriotic.
Correct.
We're very patriotic. We're happy for our team. We're happy when our team wins sports that we probably have no business winning. So that's all it is. And look, I will say this about the World Cup. The secondary effects, especially on like TikTok and Instagram, the reels and things like that of Europeans, or it seems specifically like Europeans, but we're getting people from Asia, from South America, from everywhere coming to the US right now for this tournament. And they are getting to experience the United States.
Yeah.
And it's made me so proud of a lot of fucking things. Like, it started off with them trying our food and everyone being like, what the fuck is how is this is divine. Like, with our Texas meats and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And them lauding over our stadiums and stuff like that makes me proud. But then the other thing, it gets deeper than that, where you have so many people saying, like, I'm from like the UK. The amount of flags that you have over here is insane. It's incredible how patriotic you guys are. They have certain places where they're not allowed to have flags up over there because it is detrimental to their immigrant population or something like that. And they're like,
Europe is fucking crazy right now.
Absolutely. But like, the people who are just like, I got told, oh, be careful when you go over there. Everyone has guns. Everyone is mean. And then for them to be on social media being like, it's been the exact opposite. Everyone has been so friendly, so interested and happy to have us here. And then they go to Walmart and they're like, Jesus Christ, this is the greatest thing ever. Or Waffle House. And they're like, what the shit is this? And they're enjoying some of our, yes, redneck trashy customs. But also they're like, this is why Americans are the way that they are, because this country is so fucking awesome. Yeah. And the freedoms you don't understand until you don't have them, which is a unique experience that us and many in our veteran community have, is that we get to experience life without a lot of those freedoms, especially when overseas. And so it makes you respect and love them so much more while you're here. And so to hear people from other countries, other nations come here, get to experience that and completely flip the script and the narrative of what they've been told from media and so on and so forth in other places, and just be like, this place is so amazing. I do not want to leave. It makes me extremely proud of my country. For all the bad things that we have here, we are still fucking amazing. And that's why we're going to be fucking calling it soccer for at least now. And we'll see after we play Turkey, because we're probably going to be resting some guys. So we'll see.
Yeah, so we don't have to do anything in that Turkey game. It's completely irrelevant. Get some other guys some minutes. But I want to talk on the touch on some of those points. Yeah, listen, we know diddly dick about soccer, but we are super, super patriotic. And you bring up like all the things that people are getting to experience, like the ranch dressing thing. Motherfuckers should have known about ranch.
Stop that, but they're getting stopped at TSA with suitcases full of ranch, trying to go back with ranch. Like,
it's dude, y'all should have known about ranch. Like that shit's like, so it's really, really cool. And you brought up like everybody expects here that we're all mean, and that's what the media is kind of portrayed, right? It's Americans are rude assholes. Now, don't get me wrong, we absolutely can be. We are very boisterous. You can go on the internet and look at our two dumbasses doing it. And that's why the Instagram comments were so on fire, because we were being very boisterous because we love this country. But we're all, I think most Americans are pretty nice fucking people because we have a reputation of being assholes that we actually try to be nice. Now, on the reverse side of that, all the nice people that the foreigners are probably interacting with, those people probably still did have guns on them, but they didn't need to use them. So
yeah, that's the thing, is that it's not that we like hate other countries. We just really love ours.
Correct.
And it's not that we want to hate you, but if we have to, we fucking will.
I hate Turkey personally, but that's because I have heard a story. I've heard a story about somebody that wasn't me that maybe got detained in a Turkish jail, and we'll tell that story another time.
Oh, I've heard it, but this is a different one for the internets. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I have no qualms with Turkey. Maybe Turkey can help me out. I would love for Turkey to give me some new fucking hair. Yeah.
Some hair would be, dude. You're like super bald. I appreciate how
because I shaved my head.
Keep it. Yeah, but
no, it's not. It's not
maintenance. Not right now.
No. You just can't tell. I don't have a high definition camera going right now. It still grows in all right. I just am getting way ahead of the curve because it is a precipitous fall off.
Understood. You're getting out in front of it.
Yeah.
You're embracing the ball.
I fucking hate it. I'm not embracing it. I'm just getting out ahead of it.
All right. Let's get off it. Actually, one more thing. Messi. Incredible. World Cup, I believe, set the record for the most goals in World Cup history. That makes you probably the greatest soccer player of all time. If they could win this goddamn thing, Messi's a dog. Anytime that you can watch him, you should, because he's electrifying. I don't know if you caught any of the World Cup games, but that his second goal for Messi, where he passes it up. I don't even know what the fuck all of the terminology is. Gets it back. I'm pretty sure nutmegs a guy and then scores after the ricochet. The dude just balls, and he's 5'7", so gives the short kings of the world a lot of hope. So shout out to Messi for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, we do not know this sport very well, and we don't claim.
My daughters play it,
and so everyone that wants to come at us, please, by all means, understand that we are coming at it boisterous, but with a light heart, because we know that we're completely out of our fucking element. Yeah. What I can tell you is that Landon Donovan, one of the better Americans to ever play, put it best. The Americans have no chance at winning this thing because we have to play the best game that we have ever played 3 more times in order to make it all the way. And that's, the odds are just not there. It's not there. And if you watch some of these other extremely good teams that are playing that we are going to be having to face here very soon, it looks like a completely different brand. To the untrained eye, it is a completely different brand of soccer. All right. So it's not like we don't understand that. Yeah. We say this with love. as just competitive dudes.
I want to win one game in the elimination round. If we get one game in the elimination round,
moral victory,
successful World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, we are very successful already since we scored more goals in our first game than we did all last World Cup. So, you know, it's all we're taking as much as we can right now in the moral victory section. So that's all it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
All from a place of love.
All right. Let's transition to a team that I don't know if it's a moral victory or what we're going to make of this trade when it all is said and done. But Giannis Antetokounmpo on the move, going from the Bucks to the Heat in a huge fucking trade player package. I do not have all the details up, but I believe it's 4
right
player
picks.
Go ahead, Evo.
Yeah, so we got Giannis and Bobby Portis going to the Heat. In return, Bucks get Tyler Hero, Kelly Ware. I probably said that wrong, her name wrong. Jamie Yaquez, Kasparis, Yakakonis, the 13th overall pick, 2 unprotected first round picks in 31 and 33, and a pick swap in 2030, along with a 2033 second round pick. A king's ransom for Giannis, which, again, I'm not a huge basketball guy. I do know Giannis, obviously. Phenomenal player. But the Heat are going all fucking in on this for a guy who has an injury history, but it feels like that's kind of one of the Heat's things is they are willing to throw together these packages, do what's necessary to try to build a one-shot squad, blow their wad to be as good as they possibly can, and then deal with the repercussions at a later date. And that's really what this from the outside seems like to me. Yes, a lot of these first-round picks are well in the future. They traded away a lot of players that are role players and things like that, or future prospects for their team. And this team is just not focused on the future. They're focused on the now and taking this shot now. I don't know that the Heat have enough for this to move the needle enough. Like, they're going to be competitive, of course, but that's if Giannis stays healthy. Like, you have to have a lot of things fall in the correct direction for this to work.
Yeah, they gave up a whole fucking team essentially for Giannis. Obviously, they'll have to make other roster adjustments. They will add pieces and things like that. But I have listen. I'm not a huge basketball guy either, but I do follow the game a little bit. And the makeup of their basketball team is kind of interesting now. They're going to have 2 really big, long players that don't necessarily stretch the floor in Giannis and Bam Adebayo. Like, how are those guys going to operate together? You, as a Wolves fan, might have a little bit of an understanding of how difficult that can be when you have those 2 bigs on the floor at the same time trying to get some offense going rather than just trying to, create your own shot. That was one of the reasons that they decided to move off of Cat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Cat is a decent offensive player, but yeah, for sure. That's one of the things. And we still got to see a little bit of that with Rudy and Nas when they're on the floor at the same time. But yeah, this is different because Giannis is obviously a little bit in a different stratosphere with this as far as how good he can be. And the Heat right now are 3rd in the odds to win the East as of today. So this move obviously moved the books quite a bit. Knicks are 2nd to win the East, plus 280 odds, and the Celtics at plus 220 are the top there. And honestly, I was going to say, I think the Celtics almost might be the biggest losers out of this trade because I know that they were the ones that really, really wanted to get Giannis in there.
Yeah, and then you're going to have a relationship with Jaylen Brown that seems like it's fractured. He's once out of town now, it appears. So there will be teams that call to make a move and see what they would need to do. But what would the Celtics want to go get to replace Jaylen Brown if you don't get a Giannis? There's not another guy like that that's even close to being available that you could get for Jaylen Brown. So the Celtics did lose out on that for sure, and they will have to do something because I don't know that Brown would is going to want to stay, considering all that's happened. Like, they were very clear, like, yeah, he's the centerpiece of the trade.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and what's even crazier in this entire situation is that Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Bucks, has now traded, I think, the best player in the NBA currently, or guy probably right around there.
Yeah,
close.
I wouldn't say he's the best. He is definitely
one of
among
the superstars of the NBA.
Yeah, that's recently had a conversation about NBA superstars. I would put Giannis within the top 10 players in the league, and he's absolutely a superstar when healthy. That's one of the big concerns there. Again, is he's got to be healthy.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Jimmy hasn't just traded anybody away.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Shedeur Sanders, but we're not talking about that right now.
And,
anyways,
my Wolves also executed a trade. Julius Randle sent to the danger zone known as Brooklyn, where players go to die, unfortunately. But we did a salary dump move, essentially get rid of him. A lot of Minnesota fans up in arms. And initially, of course, when I looked at it, I was like, well, I don't understand. We traded him and the 28th pick for a lower pick. And it's just part of my ignorance of the NBA and how money works there. There's different fucking numbers that you got to hit in order to trade and sign and shit like that, with caps and exceptions and
mid-level exemptions. And yeah,
it seemed like 90% of X yesterday was very upset. Not necessarily that we got rid of Julius Randle, because I think most people felt like that was inevitable, myself included. It was just, you look at that in NFL trade terms, and it's not fleecing, it's an absolute donkey punch. But that's not how it works in the NBA. It allows them to make other moves, other acquisitions, other trades potentially, to try to rebuild the roster with some younger guys who are maybe better down the stretch. Obviously, we get to go out and re-sign Ayo Dosunmu, who was really good for us after the trade for him last year. It puts Naz Reid up into the starting lineup for the first time in his career, which will be interesting. I'm not convinced that Naz is a starting line type of player. I really liked his role before, but we're going to get to see now. And it opens up opportunities for us to go out and make trades for other guys, which I think is what the team is planning on doing, is they are taking a little bit more of a long-term build approach. But they still could go after a guy like a Josh Giddey or something like that, who's been rumored as one of the guys that we've been looking at. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know what the Cavs are doing, but NBA players are getting drafted right now. Some young men are having their dreams come true as we speak. The NBA draft is on. It may or may not be rigged. That will never go away, considering the way they do the lottery in the NBA. But let's get off of basketball, because I'm ready to talk about Sorsby, man, because Jesus, the conversation about this kid changes every week. And it seems like for the last few weeks, it has done nothing but get worse and get worse. Now, unless you have something that you want to talk about before we get on the Sorsby, I'm here for it. Because I feel like we'll go with Sorsby and then probably wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I'm good with getting into Sorsby. We'll just go ahead to start this off by doing a brief recap. If anyone hasn't watched the show, and if anyone's been living under a rock when it comes to NFL news with him, obviously Sorsby found to have been gambling, big gambling problem. After getting caught, admits it, goes to a inpatient rehab here in Arizona for, I believe, 32 days. But NCAA obviously has kind of strict rules on this stuff, because people have been poking holes in it. But basically, the player can no longer play. They're ineligible to play. He fights that, gets an injunction. He's supposed to do a 2-game suspension, I believe, for Texas Tech. And then Texas Tech has been just fighting to keep their college sports alive ever since that. And finally, Sorsby dropped out and said, nope, I'm going to declare for the supplemental draft. Well, the NFL came out today and said, we are not going to allow that. I will go ahead and read the letter from Larry Farazani, the General Counsel for NFL Management. Dear Mr. Sorsby, we are in receipt of your petition for special eligibility dated June 16, 2026. As announced earlier today, the league has elected to not conduct a supplemental draft this year. Under our collective bargaining agreement, the league retains sole discretion to determine whether it is appropriate to conduct a supplemental draft in any given year. The league has not conducted such a draft for several years, and prior to your submission, the league had no plans to do so this year, as no other players has sought this entry. Your petition, filed 3 business days before the deadline without any supporting information or documentation, and only after abandoning your recent litigation efforts to avoid NCAA sanctions, does not provide a basis for the league to alter those plans. The issues presented in your petition are too significant and too closely tied to the league's core integrity interests to permit meaningful review within the timeline presented. The sole reasons identified in your petition for seeking entry into the supplemental draft are that you have been declared ineligible by the NCAA, have exhausted all of your avenues to continue in the NCAA, and that you want to now play in the NFL. The petition provides no information regarding the basis for or timing of the NCAA's decision. Public sources, however, indicate that in May of 2026, the NCAA issued a determination declaring you permanently ineligible from participating in college athletics based on a sustained pattern of improper gambling activity during your collegiate career at 3 different universities. The league does not have the complete record of the NCAA's investigation, and you did not provide any such materials with your petition. Available information nonetheless indicates that over the course of your collegiate career, you knowingly engaged in repeated and significant violations of NCAA rules designed to preserve the integrity of athletic competition. Reported conduct includes placing wagers on your own team and teammates, and to avoid detection, establishing or funding accounts in the names of intermediaries who placed bets on your behalf. There are also reports that you may have violated state criminal law. Your petition does not address these matters, nor does it demonstrate your accountability for your conduct or indicate whether or how you would adhere to the league's rules and policies governing integrity of competition. Instead, after receiving notice of the NCAA's decision, rescinding your college eligibility in May, you sought to avoid the consequences of that determination through litigation rather than accepting the responsibility of your actions. And you pursued entry into the NFL only after abandoning those efforts. As Commissioner Goodell has emphasized, participation in the NFL is a privilege that carries with it significant responsibilities, including accountability. By all accounts, you are a talented player with potential for future success. We encourage you to focus on preparing for possible entry into the NFL through the 2027 annual draft. So that was from the NFL to Sorsby. Sorsby's lawyer, Jeffrey Kessler, then told ESPN that the NFL's decision to not hold a supplemental draft is a violation of the CBA and the law, and they will pursue this immediately with the NFLPA. So that lays the groundworks of this situation. Go ahead and give your thoughts.
Jesus. Okay. This kid can't get out of his own fucking way, and his lawyer's not doing him any goddamn favors. So first, I want to say that I believe that, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I've lost track of how many times we've talked about this young man at this point. But I know that there was a very good-looking gentleman on this show, bearing a striking resemblance to fucking me, that said there's a chance that the NFL could just Colin Kaepernick his ass and say, you know what? No. We're not going to let you in. We're not going to draft you. And there's not really shit you can do about it, because guess what? He's not part of the collective bargaining agreement because he's not in the fucking NFL. I literally made this exact point a couple of weeks ago, I think. There is no way that his lawyer can read that letter where they're basically saying, your litigious behavior has made it so that we do not think that you have taken any responsibility for your actions whatsoever. And your response is, let's go do more litigation. His lawyer's a fucking idiot. And Sorsby is probably not getting into the NFL next year either. And if he does, it'll be at the ass end at the draft. Because that letter basically says, we are worried that you will ruin the integrity of the Shield. We don't think that you've taken any kind of accountability. And also, basically, they called him out for being a bitch and running from the punishment that the NCAA was handing down. Like, they did not hold back at all. I am incredibly happy that the NCAA, the NFL sent down this harsh of a letter, this kind of fucking admonishment of what happened, because at no point has he shown any remorse or accountability for his actions. I understand he went to rehab. Okay, cool. That's not taking responsibility for all the shit that you did beforehand. That's you trying to fix the problem so you don't do it again. That's not fucking accountability. So good on the NFL for making this happen this way. I do not feel bad for him in the slightest bit. Go ahead, brother.
I will intentionally, because we share a lot of the same viewpoints here on things, I'll intentionally take a little bit more of a contrarian view.
Okay.
Much like one of our new shows that we kind of do, part of Raw Dog Sports, Hater or Homer, where we look at both sides of this and try to find our way to the middle and where things are supposed to be. I'll echo a little bit of someone who I look up to, respect in the sports world, and Thor Nystrom, who covers Minnesota Vikings for Score North Purple Daily. He said he has mixed opinions on the Sorsby decision. The football world can no longer enforce simple rules and turn Sorsby into the cautionary tale, proving that there is still a line and may save others. But the NFL's Morality Police Act is a bit rich. He applied in time, and they should let the 32 other teams rebuke him if they so see fit. Where I kind of disagree with that statement is the NFL going out of their way to not even put it in the hands of 32 other teams is the NFL saying we are the shield and we will protect the other 32 teams from enduring this, because
themselves.
And that's the thing, is that this letter from the attorney, it's not like the NFL doesn't know that it's going to get out there. So what they state in it, they know has to be very understood from a public facing perspective, not just from Sorsby and his attorney reading it. So while they do bring up things like accountability and stuff like that, which is all necessarily true, I think that also the NFL knows, like, hey, this will be, albeit a blip, a bit of a black mark on the NFL by allowing him into the supplemental draft this year. And just another thing to push through the media cycle of, NFL doesn't really care about these things. They just want players on the field. The way that the NFL gets looked at a lot of times with things like domestic violence and other sorts of criminal activities and player conduct things, most people feel like the NFL does a lot of slap on the wrist, not rehabilitating or helping the players with those issues and getting better, but just wants good players on the field. And I generally agree with that. And I generally agree that that's probably how the NFL viewed this was, hey, we have a guy who's going to put a little bit of a black mark on the shield. It'll be something that we wipe off, no problem. But why even entertain it? Another place that I'll push back is I wouldn't necessarily say that the lawyer is at fault, because he's doing his job. He's fighting for his client. But the decision makers in Sorsby life, which ultimately is Sorsby, but he should have an agent and he should have management that is representing him in a good enough way to step back and say, this might not be the best move at multiple points in time through this whole process. And that avenue could have failed him. How is he supposed to have accountability for this issue? That's kind of my question, because so the NCAA, he fucked up. There's no denying that. The NCAA bans him. Is he supposed to self-prescribe himself sitting out a year then? Or should he have applied for the supplemental draft at that point? And would that have been okay? Would the NFL not have been concerned because he didn't litigate it further at that point? I don't know. I don't know what they would deem as correct accountability. I get how it looks bad.
They kind of mentioned that in that letter, though, basically saying that you didn't provide any of the background information. You didn't show us what was found in discovery. None of that. You're trying to act like okay, I had a problem and it is no longer a problem. Let's not actually look at the scope of what was going on. That in and of itself, I think, would be some sort of accountability. Like
I don't
acting
disagree,
like
but it's
acting
not
like
like
you didn't do it, acting like it's a small thing now, it's in the past. That it literally just happened. 32 days of rehab doesn't automatically change what I'm assuming was 4+ years of a daily habit. We would love to say that 32 days of rehab is going to just change everybody. I mean, we know for certain that it doesn't, though.
well, my point with that is, what does the application process look like to enter the supplemental draft? I honestly don't know, but it, for all we know, he and his team thought they submitted what was necessary and required. And the NFL is holding the standard of, well, you should have provided with this all this information. He could come back and say, yeah, I will. I've got no problem. Also, it's very public. Like it's tough for me to completely condemn him for not putting every bit of information within his request for the supplemental draft without knowing if that was an absolute requirement. If the NFL said, hey, you're entering the supplemental draft, you have to provide us every XYZ detail of why. It sounds like he did say, I've lost my eligibility, blah, 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 but he didn't go into super great detail because it was mentioned in that letter as well. And then, that he wanted to play in the NFL was one of his things, which I feel like that's the NFL kind of saying like, hey, that you should have probably focused more on the other thing other than even mentioning, I just want to play in the NFL, which I get. I just, from even before.
It doesn't it's not a qualifier for why the fuck you should be there.
For sure. I think that I like the story of someone being able to fix themselves, fix their issues, and overcome it. But I don't know what his path to success is, and everyone's going to critique every little thing that he does along the way. I don't like. Do you not want him to try to fight for himself to have opportunities? I understand the litigation. I understand how it looks bad, but I also understand from his position where it's like, hey, if this is an opportunity, an avenue for me to potentially play in college football, why not try and litigate it? Same thing with how rich people a lot of times don't have to pay taxes because there are loopholes to things and whatnot. Is it bad on the person for using those loopholes or bad for the system for allowing them to be there in the first place? And who should we place the blame on at that point? Okay, I don't know that it was morally incorrect for him to attempt to do that. But even let's say, going back to that, let's say he accepts the NCAA has now banned me and he tries to submit for the supplemental draft and gets denied. Like, what is a guy supposed to do? Like, one of the things that we talked about in our texts earlier in the day was like, this guy could jump to a CSL or USFL or something like that. But who knows if they're going to be like, yeah, come over here and play or not. Like, you might as well go and shoot for the moon, go for what your ultimate goal is, which is to play in the NFL. His ultimate goal, obviously, the whole time has been to play in the NFL, which is why he tried to go back to college to give himself a better chance of being drafted higher in the NFL. And that was not going to go well. And he was honestly taking down an entire university and program with him. And he backed out of that. I mean, I respect that to a certain extent, where it was like, this is
we don't know that he backed out of that. We do not know that that's the way that went down. Because if Texas Tech was receiving the pressure that has been reported that people were not going to play them in any sport again, period, it can very easily become like a, hey, Brendan,
one of those, like, we're going to fire you or you could just resign.
Yeah.
Situations.
Listen,
for sure.
If you don't, maybe make a decision that doesn't fuck over the entire university, we're just going to have to fuck you over ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing is, I don't know. So that's why I play devil's advocate with a little bit. Some of it, obviously, he's a kid making decisions and having people who probably should be a lot better at their jobs that are his management making decisions for him probably that aren't helping him, especially in the short term. his path to the NFL is going to be as difficult as possible, basically, at this point, outside of something like extreme criminal happening, a la, Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs, DUI, drunk driving, killing a person, and trying to continually get out of jail to find a path back to the league.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be some opportunities for him. I do think USFL or CFL, he's probably going to get an opportunity to play in those leagues because they can't be as picky and choosy with who they let come play their game. And he's going to have a very good year. He's going to have to show that he is best quarterback in this league, essentially, in order to get looked at in this draft. I do think that in 27, unless this Sorsby saga continues, which it's obviously going to, but if it continues down a much more negative path, the tarnish on him is going to be so great that teams are going to get to the point that they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
And that's kind of where I think we're getting to. And that's why the whole litigating thing, because he was ruled ineligible and asked for an injunction, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had to bring in a whole other ass judge to make him eligible. At that point right there, you've got to know what you're doing is probably not the right fucking thing. You're trying to exert your influence to get what you shouldn't probably be getting right now, getting that opportunity. So there is one of those times where you can stop and say, man, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just fucking take my lumps and try to move on to the NFL. Because it could have happened there. That was a month ago. Plenty of time. Now, I'm not saying the NFL still lets him in, because I think very much so they are blackballing him right now. They are, sure, you can apply. No, we're not going to do it because they don't have to have the supplemental draft. The NFL, Roger Goodell says it. I think it was brought up in the letter. Like, it is a fucking privilege to play in the NFL. You don't have the right to play in the NFL. Like, you don't, motherfuckers, if you got $1 billion, if you had Elon Musk walks into the NFL offices and says, I want to buy a franchise. Guess what? They're going to tell him to go fuck off. You got no shot at ever owning one of these. Doesn't matter how much money you got.
You're talking to the richest man out there. He'll just buy the fucking NFL.
No, he can't. That's the thing. That the NFL is so fucking vacuum sealed tight on the way they operate that you can't panic. Like Donald Trump forever tried to get in the NFL, tried to get an NFL team, started the fucking USFL the first time, or was part of that whole group and basically tanked it the first time because he wanted an NFL team. It is a group of good old boys. If you're not their kind of people, they don't let you in. If you can't help them win, they don't let you in. If you make me look bad, we won't let you in. And there's nothing that you can fucking do about it.
There is one man right now that is penetrating the NFL, as you put it. That's my boy, Brian Flores.
Yeah, that's true. And the NFL is shitting their fucking pants.
Yeah. It's look, the Sorsby saga is not over. I am going to be interested in watching what his next career move is going to be, not the legal side of it, because I think that this is probably going to very quickly get shot down because, like it's been brought up, I don't think that the NFLPA has any jurisdiction over him because he's not
in it.
A player that was registered for the 26 draft. They're not holding the supplemental draft. The NFL doesn't, like they said, they don't have to hold a supplemental draft. They can, but they decided not to. And so I don't know that the NFLPA, no matter which way they feel about it, has any say in the matter because he's not part of the Players Association, which is a union. Like, at what point can college players join the NFLPA?
They have to be fucking in the league.
Right. So, and I don't know how it's, illegal like it was brought up because, again, it's a privilege, and there's a process to be eligible to be able to play in the league. So I think that's going to get shot down pretty darn quick. And it might be once they have a conversation with the PA that they're like, why'd you bring us into this? Like we are not the same right now, maybe in the future. And that's, look, Sorsby, by most accounts, looking at the 27 draft, was somewhere between like the 6th and 9th quarterback coming out in that draft class. Not a first round pick at this point. If he had a good college season, obviously that could change. But, that's in next year's class, which is a really good class. He was going to probably be middle of the pack, somewhere between rounds 2 and 4. Now he drops. At worst, he'll be a UDFA. I don't think he's going to get completely blackballed out of the league, but just like progression on his mechanics and decision making and things like that, I don't know how much that is going to grow if he goes to another one of these leagues like the CFL or USFL.
That's the only one who's got a shot. The USFL has some coaches that were actually in the NFL, so they're gonna have connections with guys in the NFL. He's gonna have to go to one of those places with a very well connected coach to guys in the NFL who can say all the nice things about him. He's in the building all the time. He's a worker. He fucking studies. He all of those things. He has to be perfect.
He stayed on the tracks with everything. Like
he has to be perfect.
He's gonna have to have a outside paid for quarterback coach who's working with him, because those seasons for those leagues are shorter. He's gonna have to have someone working with him full time, basically through the season as well, that is preparing him for the 27 draft class. But that's the thing, is he goes into one of those supplementary leagues, one of those professional but obviously lower tiered leagues, and he is going to have to be the best, because you don't see guys out there in those leagues coming to the NFL very often. And if they do, they are 4th string quarterback type guys.
And they're coming without baggage.
Right. You get players that go there for other positions and then end up doing well in the NFL. I have one on my team right now in Jalen Redmond, who is outstanding. But it's different with the quarterback position, because those guys are already, before they ever make it to those other leagues, are so dissected and looked at. And if the NFL thinks that they have any sort of shot, then they're going to be a part of an NFL roster, whether it's on the practice squad or otherwise. Sorsby is going to have to now go through all this other scrutiny, all this off the field stuff. And he's going to have to show that A, that is in his past, and B, that he is like the best in that league in order to get a shot to be a late round draft pick. So it's cost him a lot of money. And that's part of the thing, is that he's going to be living off of the $5-something million or more that he got in NIL money from Texas Tech to either litigate this shit out or try to boost his career as much as possible in the meantime with good coaching and things like that, in order to be prepared for the upcoming 2027 draft class. Now, you got to go to the NFL Combine this last year.
Did.
How fucking cool would it be if Sorsby gets invited?
He's not getting invited to the Combine.
I mean,
bro, okay, listen. So I guess I have some questions if that is the case. Can he go to the USFL, which is then a semi-professional league, and then go to the Combine, which is for the amateur players from college? Are they going to create some sort of rule where it's supposed to be for amateurs?
I don't know.
Listen, there's a lot of nuance to all of that. If he is good enough in one of these, he's got to find a place to play first. Like, where there's so many what ifs to where this could all go. If he were to go to the Combine, it would be a fucking media madhouse. I was not there for the Shadur Sanders Combine. The guys who were there, Jeremy and Dave, those guys told me that it was fucking insane. that there was just a huge congregation of people basically constantly around Shadur Sanders. I feel like this would be equal or even worse than that. And I say worse because I think it would be for the wrong reasons. He's going to go to the USFL or the Canadian Football League or fucking arena, or I don't know where he's going to go. But he has to play football of some kind this year. You just can't just sit there and practice on a field and get no live reps. It's not going to go out. It's not going to go well for you, because that is literally the route that Colin Kaepernick went. He just decided he was going to do some workouts, and then those were going to try to get him a shot into the NFL.
So I just did a quick Google search. Players have played in the CFL and USFL before going to the NFL Combine. Notable players, and there's only two here. Trevante Turpin, most famous modern example, after a standout collegiate career at TCU. Off-the-field issues derailed his immediate NFL hopes. He went on to dominate the revived USFL, winning MVP for the New Jersey Generals in 2022, and shortly after, he signed with the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't say here that he did USFL, CFL, then Combine, then went to an NFL team. That's what I was hoping to see here. And then there's Brandon Aubrey, the kicker for the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL, before he ended up signing with the Cowboys. But again, I don't know that
he went to the Combine, and they just signed his ass. Yeah.
So anyone who's watching, putting this out to you, can you find any instance of a player that has played in one of these, we'll call them semi-professional leagues, CFL, Canadian Football League, or USFL, or XFL, or something like that, and then later after that went to the NFL Combine? That's what we're looking for. I can't think of anyone that would fit that mold.
I don't think that this is such a rare instance. Like, supplemental draft guys are obviously rare to begin with as it is, but this case is like one of a fucking kind. And hopefully we never see another one like this, because it's asinine that we're having this conversation for the last month, where we're trying to fight to get eligible after you gambled on the games that you were fucking on, the teams that you were playing on. Like, the entire situation has completely lost sight of the fact that this kid did the most egregious thing that you can do in terms of sports, and gambling on your own sport, on your own team, with inside knowledge about that team. And then we're just going to oh yeah, well, we're going to sweep it all under the rug, and he's going to come to the NFL. Not like, there is such a problem with this that the NFL, I feel like they had to kind of come out and make this move. They had to say, no, this is the Terrell Pryor thing all over again. Terrell Pryor going to be suspended for 6 games from college football. Comes to the NFL. Hey, you were running away from your problems there. We're going to give you the fucking 6-game suspension anyways. Sorsby, hey, they ruled you ineligible there. By the way, we're not going to let you enter the draft this year. Better luck next year when you can apply, and we'll see how things go. It feels very, very similar in the way this is being handled, which I'm sure makes people very upset. But I guess fair is fair, and the NFL is a privilege.
So a little bit more knowledge here, stuff that we generally already knew, but NFL Scouting Combine is selective. It is selected by the Combine Committee. Between 300 to 320 players are selected by that committee of NFL execs and scouting personnel. In order to be potential selectees, that player has to be draft eligible. So what makes a player draft eligible? To participate, players must be at least 3 years removed from their high school graduation and have either exhausted their college eligibility or formally renounced their remaining college football eligibility. Underclassmen can declare, basically get wavered in. They must officially declare for the NFL draft and receive approval from the NFL. So not Sorsby's case. And then the process for that is an evaluation, physicals, blah, 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 blah. So essentially, it sounds like Sorsby will be draft eligible. Yeah. There's no stopping that. And because he's draft eligible, he could be one of those 300, 320 prospects that are brought in. It's going to be that selection committee that determines whether or not, because it doesn't say anything about playing in other prior leagues. So, Sorsby Combine next year is possible. It would be insane.
Oh, and God, the media scrum around Sorsby will be absurd. Like, trying to get a question out will be insane.
Think about this, though. NFL execs and scouting professionals, how much do they really care about the off-the-field stuff? Like, the NFL as an organization cares. But at the end of the day, teams want players who will make them win a Super Bowl. They're willing to overlook the worst of the worst things, as we know. To get an opportunity to say, hey, this guy who was being talked about if he went in the supplemental draft as being as high as a second-round pick. Now, I think that's still rich, but as high as a second-round pick, that talent was there right now. That's not to say that it won't be there next year. It's not to say that he potentially could be better next year. These scouts, if he does or doesn't get into one of these supplemental leags, they're not going to have
his play, though. I don't think it has anything to do with his play, or
he would literally have to be blackballed.
I think that what people are not wanting to say in the NFL circles, and listen, and this is going to sound, I'm not saying that this is happening, but I made the movie quote at the beginning of the show. I think everybody's worried that he's going to be the point-shaving white boy, that he's going to sully the reputation of the game, that he's going to get indebted to somebody who owes some fucking money, and that he's going to throw a game, and it's going to fucking put a massive stain on the NFL and the Shield. Because as soon as people don't believe that your game is legitimate, they stop fucking watching it. And I think that's what everybody's afraid of. But you can't say that without making it sound like, oh, he's just a degenerate piece of shit gambler. I understand. He went to rehab. That's what people are afraid of. It's not, is he good enough? Can he do this? Is he going to do something so fucking stupid again? Because he showed over a pattern of 4 years that he knew what the rules were. He broke the rules. He continued to break the rules. And then once he was caught, he decided to fight it rather than just deal with his fucking problem. I think that's where it all comes down to. It's not about the player that Sorsby is or any of those things. Nobody's going to give a fuck about that. Nobody's going to even really think about that until they can get past the point of, is this kid going to do something so egregious that it makes the entire NFL look bad? Because the MLB, when the throwing of the pitches into the dirt, like that changed the entire gambling landscape of Ohio. You're not allowed to gamble on first pitch strikes in Ohio anymore because Class A was throwing them in the fucking dirt on purpose. Like massive repercussions come from that. So that's where all of this is going to come down to, in my mind.
I think that that's absolutely possible. I think that the teams in NFL are going to know that he is going to have such a clamp down on monitoring his activity to not even allow that to potentially be a thing that happens, that it, like, people will worry about him gambling and a gambling addiction or something like that. But I don't know that they'll be worried so much about him gambling on the NFL because of how strict, like everybody in the league is going to have an eye on him, watching for anything that even looks like a semblance of that. And we have players in the league who have had suspensions for gambling issues, and that's not the case with them. You know, obviously the quarterback makes a huge difference in a game and can completely throw a game compared to like a cornerback or a wide receiver. But the NFL has a history of players who have gambled and they are still in the league, and the NFL allows them to be there. I think he will get a second chance with the NFL. That worry will be there, but all he can do to assuage that worry is obviously stay clean from the issue and time. time will help heal the situation as long as he stays on the right track. My point about the combine is that scouts and teams and players will want to meet with him, be able to talk with him.
That'll be the most
about all the issues, see if there is any sort of remorse or acceptance on the issue that happened, if he would have done things differently, all that sort of stuff, just to speak to the man alone. Because we all know that the drills on the field, they kind of don't mean that much, right? That like they'll want to go to essentially like a pro day and things like that, and you have opportunity to sit down and talk with them. But the talent is there enough where he could have been taken as high as a second round pick in the supplemental draft. They will just want to get to know the person and whether or not that's something that they can work with on that side of it. That's why I think there's a possibility that he still goes to the combine next year.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, if he goes, it's going to be a madhouse. Hopefully we'll be there.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I do think that if based off of where he ranks now and where he was looked at in the supplemental draft, if he doesn't go next year, then there's more of an argument of, okay, the NFL has basically told all 32 teams like this isn't happening.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah. Listen. So right now it's a lot of speculation. This is all very, very new. Came out today. Thank you, Brendan Sorsby, for giving us ample things to talk about during the dead time of the offseason. Because we
dummy thick idiots.
Yeah.
This is conjecture.
Yeah, not licensed professionals. You got not licensed professionals in soccer. You got not licensed professionals in basketball, and also not licensed professionals in terms of law. But I do know that gambling on your own sport is wrong.
And look, if you have a gambling problem, look at the bottom of the screen. Call 1-800-522-4700. We need to check and make sure that that number is still correct.
Yes, we do. It's been a while since we set up this scroll. We should.
If you have a gambling problem, Google help. Like Google for some help.
For sure. There's nothing wrong with getting help. Acting like you don't have a problem doesn't make it go away. But guys, we're going to wrap this thing up. Time is the most valuable thing that you have, and we appreciate any time that you give some of it to us. I'm going to give Evo one last word, then we're going to get the hell out of here. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we will not be talking about Sorsby, because if we are, something else drastically has changed and gone wrong, because as of right now, the door is shut on Sorsby in the NFL. But Evo, go ahead.
All right. I'm going to bring this back to the beginning of the show. And this comes from a place of love for all you soccer fans out there. Australia, you have to call it soccer for the next 4 years. I'm sorry. Those are just the rules that we've created and made up. And now you got to call it soccer. Sorry.
Yeah. I feel like that is absolutely should be the punishment anytime you lose to the U.S. You've got to call it soccer until you beat us in the World Cup. But all right, guys, we're going to get the hell out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This was Raw Dog Sports. See you.